Hello and welcome back to the Enosi podcast, where we explore frameworks, ideas, and innovations that help individuals, organizations, and communities grow with clarity, compassion, and strategy. I'm your host, and today's episode dives deep into a transformative model of continuous improvement, one that doesn't just measure performance, but nurtures meaning, one that doesn't just track progress, but aligns people with purpose. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and like this episode if it resonates with your values or sparks new ideas. Sharing knowledge is a powerful act of improvement itself, and your engagement helps us reach more learners, leaders, and changemakers. Now, let's explore the 4M framework, a deeply reflective and systemic approach to what we often refer to as never-ending improvement, or NEI. In a world increasingly defined by volatility, disruption, and complexity, the pressure to improve is felt at every level, whether in business, education, government, or personal development. The call to adapt is loud and persistent. And yet, most models of continuous improvement still operate within a narrow, technocratic frame, emphasizing efficiency, procedures, and metrics. Think of the classic PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act, or the Kaizen philosophy from industrial production. While valuable, these models often lack a critical dimension, the human spirit. This is where the 4M framework emerges, not as a replacement, but as an expansion. Created by Mohammed Haider Rahman, the 4M framework integrates cognitive, collaborative, spiritual, and reflective dimensions into a living cycle of improvement. It is not only a method for fixing what is broken, but also a philosophy for becoming better, together and with meaning. The 4M framework consists of 4 interlinked stages: Mudzakkara, Muziawara, Mujahada, and Muhasaba. Let's unpack each one, not just as steps, but as values and practices for individual and collective transformation. We begin with Mudzakkara, derived from the Arabic root zikr, which means to remember or to recall with awareness. Mudzakkara refers to the open exchange of ideas and the mutual sharing of knowledge. It's not a lecture. It's not a debate. It is a conversation grounded in sincerity, curiosity, and mutual respect. In the context of continuous improvement, Mudzakkara becomes a platform for awakening collective awareness. It's about surfacing what we know, what we think we know, and what we have yet to understand. It encourages a gathering of insights, not just from formal experts, but also from experience, stories, data, and intuition. Imagine a school staff coming together to reflect on low student engagement. Instead of jumping straight to solutions, they begin with Mudzakkara. Teachers, students, parents, and community members all share their observations and interpretations. The result is not just information. It's a shared understanding, a collective mapping of the landscape. This phase lays the epistemological foundation of any change. It reminds us that before we solve, we must seek. Before we act, we must listen. And before we decide, we must learn. Together. From Mudzakkara, we move to Muziawara. Muziawara means deliberation, but in the 4M framework, it goes far beyond procedure. It's not about voting. It's not about majority rule. It's about participatory consensus building, where decisions are made not only through logic, but through shared vision, ethical reflection, and social harmony. In traditional models, decision-making often centers on cost-benefit analysis. But in Muziawara, we ask deeper questions. What values are we honoring through this choice? How will this decision impact others? Are we aligning with our long-term purpose? Picture a community health team deciding how to use limited funding. Instead of top-down directives, they gather in Muziawara. Different voices are heard: the elderly, the youth, the health workers, the planners. Through facilitated dialogue, they don't just identify the most efficient use of resources. They discover the most meaningful one. Muziawara places collaboration at the center. It respects diversity. It fosters inclusion. And it makes improvement not just a technical act, but a relational and moral one. Once a path has been chosen through Muziawara, the next phase is Mujahada. Often translated as struggle, Mujahada here refers to earnest effort and spiritual perseverance. It is the doing, but not the mechanical kind. It is doing with intention. It is implementing with discipline. It is striving with heart. In the 4M framework, Mujahada reminds us that no plan, no matter how brilliant, matters unless it is pursued with commitment. Mujahada recognizes that obstacles will arise, that fatigue will come, that improvement is not easy. And so, it teaches us to anchor action in purpose, resilience, and mindfulness. Think of an organization deciding to shift its culture toward more sustainable practices. The Muziwara has concluded, the policies are written, but now comes the real work, changing behaviors, habits, and systems. Mujahada is waking up each day to act with consistency, to adapt when things fail, to keep going when progress is slow. Mujahada brings a spiritual dimension of work into focus. It connects intention with execution. It transforms effort into devotion. And it reminds us that excellence is not just performance, it's perseverance. After effort must come reflection. This is the work of muhasaba. Muhasaba is a process of self-evaluation and reflective insight. It asks us to look back, not just at what worked or didn't, but at who we become in the process. What did we learn? What mistakes did we make? What values did we honor or ignore? In most improvement models, evaluation is technical. Did we hit the target? Muhasaba goes deeper. It evaluates motivations, emotions, relationships, and impact. It brings both humility and wisdom to the process, and it creates space for renewal. Imagine a team that has just completed a 1-year project on digital inclusion. In a traditional evaluation, they'd measure user growth, app downloads, or project milestones. In muhasaba, they'd also ask, did we serve with empathy? Did we empower communities? Or just deliver tools? What blind spots did we uncover about ourselves? Muhasaba transforms metrics into meaning. It creates the pause necessary for course correction. And perhaps most importantly, it sets the stage for the next round of mudzakkara, completing the cycle and turning improvement into a living process. Now let's zoom out. The 4M framework is more than just a sequence. It is a spiral of growth. With each turn, we go deeper. With each cycle, we become wiser. And with each step, we root improvement in values, relationships, and self-awareness. Philosophically, the 4M framework draws from several rich traditions. It aligns with transformational leadership theory, which emphasizes identity, meaning, and deep change, not just transactional fixes. It is grounded in participatory epistemology, viewing knowledge as socially constructed through dialogue and shared experience. And it is infused with spiritual and ethical axiology, recognizing that the most powerful change begins within, through intention, reflection, and ethical striving. Together, these foundations give the 4M framework moral depth and practical resilience. It is not just a tool for getting better. It is a method for becoming better human beings, working toward better outcomes in better ways. Let's now explore the strategic implications and real-world applications of the 4M framework. In education, the 4M cycle fosters a culture of inquiry, collaboration, and reflection. Teachers and students engage not just in lesson delivery, but in co-creating knowledge and community. Mudzakkara might take the form of peer-led discussions. Muziwara becomes collaborative curriculum planning. Mujahada is the shared pursuit of academic goals. Muhasaba is structured reflection after each unit or term. In organizations, 4M offers an alternative to the balanced scorecard. While metrics matter, 4M invites us to focus also on shared values, inclusive decision-making, and spiritual alignment. It turns strategic planning into a communal journey. It makes innovation not just smart, but soulful in community development. 4M equips grassroots movements with a model of leadership that is participatory, ethical, and sustainable. It builds capacity from the inside out. It connects people not only through tasks, but through purpose. It helps communities become learners, leaders, and healers at the same time. And in personal development, the 4M cycle becomes a compass. It helps individuals reflect, plan, act, and grow. It bridges the external pursuit of goals with the internal journey of selfhood. The possibilities are vast. As we near the end of today's episode, let's come back to the heart of it all. The 4M framework reminds us that improvement is not just what we do, but how we do it and why. In a world obsessed with speed and scale, 4M calls us to pause, to connect, to strive, to reflect, and then to begin again, wiser and stronger. It is a framework that centers a human being, thinking, feeling, choosing, and becoming. It does not reject performance, but it refuses to reduce us to performance alone. It sees change as an act of meaning, collaboration as a space of ethics, action as a form of intention, and reflection as the wellspring of wisdom. So if you are a teacher, leader, parent, student, policymaker, entrepreneur, or just a lifelong learner, consider how the 4M cycle might inform your next step, your next team meeting, your next innovation, your next reflection. And if you'd like to explore the 4M framework further, through training, facilitation, strategic development, or collaboration, please contact us at heitan.rackman@inosi.co.id. We would love to walk the path of continuous, meaningful, and values-based improvement together. Thank you for listening to the Inosi podcast. If this episode inspired you, challenged you, or simply made you think, please like this episode, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your community. Let's build a better future, not only by what we do, but by how we do it and why we do it. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and keep improving together and with heart. This is the Inosi podcast, where systems meet soul.